I spent 2 weeks in Perth, Western Australia in 2016. Sharks, jellyfish, snakes. Constant sunshine, beautiful houses, unbelievably clean beaches, and one place I regret not visiting. I visited Cottesloe Beach, which is just outside of the city of Perth. I caught the bus there, and I remember the journey through the suburbs and the houses and the gardens and the vegetation were absolutely incredible. Such big, beautiful, well designed houses and such lush and diverse vegetation. All types of trees, plants, and flowers I hadn't seen before. It was absolutely incredible. That's one thing I loved about Perth and Western Australia was the vegetation. And I remember feeling jealous of the people that lived in places like this. And I remember thinking, would I ever live here? Would I ever get the chance to live somewhere as beautiful as this? And probably I won't. And I felt a bit sad for that reason. So anyway, I got to Cottesloe Beach and I got into my swimming gear and I had a swim in the beautiful, clean, warm water. Although I was nervous because in Western Australia and Perth, you've got lots of sharks, especially great whites. So you have to be very careful. They have shark nets further out to sea, but they're not 100% effective. And there have been shark attacks. Actually, at Cottesloe Beach a few years before, I think the early 2000s, a guy was killed by a great white. And so whenever I'm in swimming in the sea, especially in areas where there might be sharks, it's always at the back of your mind. You're never kind of 100% relaxed because you're in an alien environment, the ocean. So anyway, I didn't go in any deeper than say kind of chest height just to feel a bit safer. But anyway, it was still wonderful, really nice swim. And then you can chill out on the beach afterwards, just sitting on the sand, enjoying the sun, enjoying the warm air and the sight of the ocean. And there was hardly anyone there either. I mean, there were like a handful of people. It wasn't like a busy beach, on a Saturday or Sunday in high summer. The other thing that struck me about Perth was the cleanliness and the sunshine. I was in Perth city centre and in Kings Park, and I remember I didn't see a single fag end or food wrapper anywhere. The streets were immaculate, which is incredible. And so was Kings Park as well, the grass and the woods and the flower beds. So that's a really nice surprise. I mean, because nobody likes trash everywhere, and especially coming from the UK, which is much more densely populated, urban areas are often quite polluted. So yeah, that's a wonderful thing. And the sunshine as well. I was there in November, so that's kind of spring/summer. So it was sunny every day, no rain at all, long hours of sunshine, and it just makes you feel so much better. And you have more time to do things because the days are longer, so the daylight's longer and it's brighter as well. So it's just absolutely wonderful. Again, coming from the UK, especially, it's quite gloomy, or at least some of the time. But actually, at that time, I was living in Beijing, China. I was an IELTS examiner, and I decided to book a holiday because I found a cheap flight to Perth, and so I took advantage, and I'm so glad I did. I mentioned Kings Park. What an absolutely stunning urban park this is. There's grass lawns that you can walk and sit on and enjoy the view at the top of the hill, over the bay, over the ocean. There's woodlands, and then there's manicured flower beds and plant beds, which is really nice. And I was sitting on the grass reading my book nearby the wooded area, and I had my shoes off and I was reading my book, and I suddenly felt a sharp pain in the top of my foot, and I looked down and it was a little horsefly that bit me and was sucking my blood. A little shit. So anyway, I got my book and I swatted it and killed it, and that's in the photo if you look. And quite painful actually. Well, very painful. Definitely more painful than a mosquito because they have a different biting mechanism to a mosquito. They're more rough with their pincers. Anyway, the horsefly lost that one. So another day, I went down to Fremantle, which is just south of Perth, but you can get there on a day pass on the Perth train network. So that's what I did. And I went fishing off the harbour wall. And first I went to the fishing shop, and the guy sold me a fishing reel, not a rod, just a reel, and you've got the hook on the end. You can have a lead ball weight on the end, so you can swing it around and throw it out into the water. And that's what I did. I spent a good few hours doing that, just enjoying the sun, enjoying the breeze, the ocean air, and the calm and the peace and quiet. Because that's what people don't realize about fishing. It's not just about the fish, it's just about being out there, enjoying yourself and relaxing. And then if you catch fish, that's a bonus as well. And I did catch fish. I caught this in the photo. I'm not sure which type of fish it is, but I caught one of those. But I threw it back. I wasn't there to catch and eat. I caught lots of blowfish as well. They're a dime a dozen, and I think they're actually considered pests. So I caught them and threw them back anyway. And the awesome thing was the dolphin that appeared just in front of me, maybe 3 or 4 meters in front of me, because I was stood on the rocky harbour wall. And it suddenly broke the surface in front of me and appeared for 1 or 2 seconds. I only really got a glimpse. I think it blew out of its hole and then it submerged again into the depths. But that was really magical because you don't get to see dolphins that often, and when you do, not that up close. So that was awesome. Another day I went to Fremantle Prison, which is like an old prison from the 19th century. It's no longer an active prison, it's more just like a museum these days. It was atmospheric, and there was like displays on the history of it and all that. And it struck me how tragic it must be to be imprisoned in a beautiful place like this. I mean, if you're in prison anywhere, that's not a good thing because you're restricted. But at least if you're in prison in an area that isn't so beautiful, you're not missing out as much as if you're in prison in Perth. You've got the beautiful weather, the clean parks, beaches, the ocean and everything. That must hurt even more because you can see what you're missing. I also wondered if it was haunted as well. It probably is. A lot of these places are haunted or allegedly haunted, but I didn't see any ghosts or anything. But it's really interesting just to kind of speculate and see if you can feel or detect the presence of anything like that. But I didn't. Anyway, moving on. So in a day I was swimming and I got stung by a jellyfish. And I remember you're swimming and you feel something, but you're not sure if it's a sting, because sometimes it might just be the salt water stinging your skin, especially if it gets in a cut. So you're not sure if you've got stung at the time. But I got out of the water and you can see from the photos, I've got the raised welted area of skin where I got stung. Nothing serious, just more of a story to tell rather than anything. Further to the north of Perth, you've got Joondalup. It's also on the train network. I took that up there one day, went through some strange sort of desert forest on the way up. In Joondalup, there's a lake and you can walk or cycle around it. I walked around it. I would have cycled, but I didn't have a bike and there wasn't bike hire there. But I remember I was walking along and looking out for crocodiles and a snake slithered across in front of me. I only saw it for a couple of seconds. I couldn't identify what type of snake it was because it just appears and then slithers away into the brush. So that was a nice reminder. This is Australia. The downsides of Perth. The thing that struck me, like Australia in general, it's very expensive. I mean, I was staying in a hostel in the city centre in a shared dormitory, the cheapest type of accommodation you can get. I was eating food from the supermarket. I wasn't doing anything extravagant. I only went to the pub a couple of times and I still spent quite a lot of money just on the basics like that. But I remember I went into a coffee shop, I ordered a coffee and I remarked to the girl, oh, this is really expensive, Perth. And she said, yes, it is. But if you live and work here, you get paid quite well. So you get paid enough to balance out against the cost of living. So as a tourist, it is expensive, but maybe if you can live and work there, you're going to earn enough to be able to offset the cost of living. The other downside is Perth is one of Earth's most isolated cities. It's a long, long way from anywhere else, any other major city. Right on the other side of Australia to Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and all of that. And even anywhere else in other directions. You've just got ocean. But it is totally worth making the effort to get to. Absolutely beautiful place. And my regret was I didn't make it to Rottnest Island. It's supposed to be really good snorkeling with clear, shallow water, and I just didn't make it. And I feel a bit silly that I didn't make more effort to go. But if I went back, Rottnest would be top of the list. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video.